Anansi in West African culture is a spider, but sometimes he turns himself into a man. And so he can be a man or he can be a spider. Kind of. But he has been very powerful. Did you know that a long, long time ago, spiders had long locks just like I have? You want to know how they lost it? This is how they lost it. A long time ago, there was Anansi the spider woke up one day and he was hungry. Have you ever been hungry?
Yeah.
He was so hungry and he was like, I want something to eat. Where can I go and find food? But guess what? Where's the one place you can always go and find food?
Refrigerator.
See, y'all are still young. But once you go to college, you'll understand. It's mama's house. Mama will always feed you, and she will always look at you and say, baby, you look like you lost weight. Come in here and eat. So Anansi went to his mama's house to get some food. And as he came, she was out in the field working, and she was working hard. And she looks up and she sees her son. She says, oh, my Anansi, come, boy, look at you. You look so skinny. Let me fix you something to eat. Anansi's favorite food was beans. So she went inside and she started preparing the beans, and she had needed some spices. She said, Anansi, I have to go to town to the market to get some spices for the beans. Now they're boiling pretty good, so don't mess with them. In fact, while I'm working, finish hoeing out there in my garden. Anansi, being a good boy and loving his mama's beans, says, sure. So he takes the hoe and he starts to work. And he's hoeing, he's working hard. And all of a sudden, the smell, the aroma of those beans start coming up the window. And they start floating along and floating along. And literally turned itself into a finger. And went doink, doink, doink on Anansi's back. Anansi turns around and the smell just went into his nose. Ah. And before you know it, he was walking without even looking into the kitchen in front of the stove where his mother was cooking beans. Now his mom said don't touch any of it, but he said, oh, a little taste won't hurt. So he goes and he dips into the bowl and, oh, hot! Those beans are so good. I'm going to get a little bit more. I better get back outside. But I want some more beans, but they're so hot. I know what I can do. I can put some in my hat. And then when it cools off, I can eat them before Mama gets back. So he starts scooping the beans into his hat. And all of a sudden, the door opens. Anansi, are you in here? And it was his mother. He said, oh no. She says, I forgot something. I had to come back inside. Anansi looked at the beans and he knew he'd get in trouble, so guess what he did? He took the hat and put it on his head. And so he's sitting there and his mom comes in and says, what you doing with your hat on your head? Oh, I just came in to get some water real quick, heading right back out. And Anansi started doing, and all of a sudden those beans start cooking on his head because they were so hot. And he started taking his hat and he started shifting just like this. And he shifted a little bit and shifted a little bit. Boy, what are you doing, she said. Oh, Mama, it's the new dance. It's called the shaking hat dance. The shaking hat dance. Your kids come up with some silly dances. But I got a hat. Let me try. So she goes over to the hat rack and she puts it on. And she starts doing it just like Anansi. Now, both of them are in the house doing it. He's like, I got to get away. This is so hot. It's burning my head. So he goes outside and starts walking away. And she goes out, and the neighbors are looking. What are you guys doing like that? It's the new dance my son Anansi is showing me. It's called the shaking hat dance. We got hats. And everybody joined in. And they start walking. Well, Anansi was trying to get away, so he started heading towards the village. And they're all walking and shaking and walking and shaking and walking, shaking till they get to the village square. By now, those beans are cooking Anansi's head so bad he can't take it. So he takes his hat off his head and finally flings it. Beans flying everywhere. And his mama sees those beans. She says, Anansi, boy. And she just stares at him. And Anansi is worried. And everybody's staring at him. Then he feels this cool breeze. He goes and he touches his head. And he is bald except for little stragglers of hair that are left. His beautiful locks are all over the floor. He was so embarrassed that he went and he ran into the tall grass to hide. And you know what? From this day to that, whenever you want to fight Anansi the spider, guess where he'll be hiding? In the tall grass. And from that day to this, spiders no longer have long locks. They have little scragglers of hair. And that's
Was that true?